Ready.
Anthony and his friend James decided to put on a show. Stuck in the cheap seats, stuck in the cheap seats.
Welcome to the Cheap Seats. This is Hollywood Tony P, and this is the Doc Brown perspective. So it all started one day when Doc was hanging a clock.
After I fill up my toilet, I do this. Flux capacitor.
After creating the flux capacitor and bandaging up his head, he spends the rest of the day working on a mind-reading apparatus. The mind-reading apparatus doesn't work, but Doc is still thinking of the flux capacitor. The door knocks, and there is Marty McFly, the future boy from the future. Doc decides that his mind-reading device is worth a test, and Marty decides to tell him that he's a time traveler.
I'm from the future. I came here in a time machine that you invented.
That he knows how Doc came up with the idea for the flux
That's when he
capacitor.
came up with the idea for the flux capacitor, which is what makes
Then
time
Doc
travel
gets to
possible.
watch a video about that, and he discovers,
21 gigawatts!
and then Marty stumbles upon the answer to bolt of lightning.
Harness this lightning.
Doc takes Marty to school, and they find the answer.
Nothing. Look, there's a rhythmic ceremonial ritual coming up.
Doc goes home and watches the video over and over and over again, and begins building his model. Doc wakes up the next morning, completes his model, and then he outfits the DeLorean with a pole and hook, and watches the video over and over and over and over, always wondering about the terrified look on his face. Who are they, and how did they find
I
me?
haven't told you about the night we made that.
Please, Marty, don't tell me. No man should know too much about his own destiny.
Doc takes Marty to the courthouse to begin work.
Say no, Marty, I'm going to be very sad to see you go. You've really made a difference in my life. You've given me something to shoot for. It's going to be really hard waiting 30 years before I can talk to you about everything that's happened in the past few days.
Marty writes Doc a letter about the future. As Marty goes off to school, Doc bribes an officer. Doc then gets help from an older man who's obviously himself.
Marty, whatever happens, you must not let your other self see you. The consequences could be disastrous. Excuse me, sir.
Doc finishes the modifications, all while Marty McFly is singing. Doc gets very impatient waiting for Marty, who had to change.
I had to change. I think I'm going back in that suit.
Doc rips up the letter, puts it in his pocket. Marty is trying to tell him something, but he won't listen.
In that case, I'm getting straight.
The branch falls.
Let's go.
Doc races to the last moments, getting it done. The DeLorean has went to the future. He succeeded, and hooray is in order. And then Marty runs up on him.
From the future.
He wakes up and Howdy Doody is playing. He's recording himself now. And then, like he's been doing. Obviously, he's been recording himself the whole time, because he has a voice recorder. Marty is there with a hoverboard.
Doc, calm down, okay?
This can't be happening! You can't be here! It doesn't make sense for you to be here! I refuse to believe that you are here!
Doc then reads a letter from himself directing how to build the time machine.
Counterpart, that's me.
Doc learns that he will get a hover conversion in the future.
Hover conversion done in the early 21st century.
Incredible.
Then he finds the DeLorean in a cage with Marty. The time circuit microchip is examined. Doc learns through all this that he will die in 1885. He also learns that he will find his true love, whose name is Clara.
Who the hell is Clara?
Marty goes to 1885. Doc went home and waited. He listened to his voice recordings over and over and over. He knew that he was going to die in 1885. He also knew that he was going to meet someone named Clara, the love of his life. He opened the letter, realizing that it wasn't about his death. Duck builds another time circuit microchip on his car in an attempt to harness lightning at his house, burns it down. There is not enough in the extinguisher because it's never refilled. Who is Clara? Doc prepares to travel through time and he builds his time machine. Years and years later. Buys a bulletproof vest. He waits until DeLorean makes the first DeLorean, buys one and starts building.
DeLorean? The way I see it, if you're going to build a time machine into a car, why not do it with some style?
He finds the Libyans and cons them out of his plutonium.
The Libyan nationalists, they want me to build them a bomb, so I put their plutonium in and turn gave them a shiny bomb casing full of used pinball machine parts.
Then he waited for the exact date. October 26, 1985.
This is my latest experiment. This is the big one, the one I've been waiting for all my life.
He purposely forgets to pack extra plutonium because he knows the DeLorean has to catch the lightning bolt at the clock tower in 1955. Doc then makes Einstein travel through time.
Jesus Christ, Doc, you disintegrated Einstein.
And the Libyans come and Marty travels back. Doc wakes up to Marty.
Not all that talk about screwing up future events, the space-time continuum.
Well, I figure. What the hell?
Doc then drops Marty home and tells him he's going 30 years into the future.
About 30 years? It's a nice round number.
Look me up when you get there, all right? This'll be about 47.
I will.
Doc then goes to 2015 and gets a hover conversion. Doc went to the year 2015, October 26, 2015, which is, of course, 30 years from when he dropped Marty off at home. In this time, Doc looked up Marty. He saw that his children were in jail, got a hover conversion, a facelift, and put Einstein in a suspended animation clinic, went back in time to get Marty, hatched the plan to save Marty's future children. He then drives up to Marty in a frantic rush because he knows that Marty will go.
Roads? Where we're going, we don't need roads.
October 21st, 2015, the day Marty came to the future. 9 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. The podcast, The Day from the Future. In-depth analysis, contests, quizzes. Hollywood Tony P will open the envelope live on the air, and that's only October 21st, 2015. The Day from the Future. They arrive in 2015.
Junior, you're taking his place around the corner at the Cafe 80s.
Doc knocks out Marty Jr.
I used it on Jennifer. There wasn't enough power left to knock your son out for a full hour.
Goes, picks up Einstein, and then comes back and meets Marty after the hoverboard incident. They now have to go to Hilldale to save Jennifer. Old Biff takes the sports almanac and steals the DeLorean. They travel back to 1985. Doc drops Marty off and heads to his lab.
If you need me, I'll be back at my lab, dismantling this thing.
Right.
Then he breaks into the library.
Boarded up, shut down, so I broke in.
He flies the DeLorean to the roof and picks up Marty now. And heads to 1955. Who is Clara? He wonders. In 1955, he hides the DeLorean and buys a bike. He helps himself back to the DeLorean and flies to save Marty at this point.
You don't want to get
Doc gets hit by lightning. Doc is now in 1885. Doc knows that he has 9 months to establish himself before Marty will arrive. He will meet Clara, his love, and he will die. He writes himself a letter. The next day, he wakes up to see Marty being hung.
And it's pointed straight at your head!
Clara is brought up again after seeing the picture. Who is Clara? He's been thinking of her all his life.
And who's this beloved Clara? I don't know anyone named Clara.
He then tries to figure out how to get the DeLorean up to 88 miles per hour. They save Clara and meet her. He has been waiting for her all his life.
Emmett Brown at your service, Miss.
His love, he found her.
Clara Clayton.
Clara. What a beautiful name.
Doc goes to the festival at Hill Valley, takes a picture with Marty in front of the very clock that the lightning strikes.
The only problem is we'll never be able to show it to anybody.
Smile, Doc.
Doc does not get shot in the back originally, like he was supposed to, because of a frisbee.
Tell me one thing, where'd you learn to shoot like that?
7-Eleven.
He spends the rest of the night with Clara, looking at the stars.
I'm not going with you tomorrow. I'm staying.
He is staying. He doesn't die and tells Clara who he is, but she doesn't believe him. And they break up forever.
But that's not the truth.
Doc spends all night telling everyone about the future.
Oh, the future. Oh, I can tell you about the future.
Doc takes a drink.
Damn it, no!
He wakes up not knowing where he is, except Marty and Mad Dog are now in a standoff. They manage to outsmart and outwit Mad Dog Tannen, hop on a horse,
Mr. Eastwood, here's your gun, mister.
and go and try to rob a train.
It's a science experiment!
And they race towards 1985 in the DeLorean. But Clara comes to the train as well. And
I love you!
and it forces Doc to have to go back. Marty, in a rare, desperate effort, tosses the hoverboard to Doc, and Doc and Clara float off as they watch the DeLorean fly into the future. The next bit of information is purely speculative as to exactly what happened to Doc between Marty leaving and him building a train machine. Doc salvaged the train at the bottom of the ravine, fabricated the story about Clint Eastwood and how he robbed the train and they barely escaped with their lives. Then he started building a life with kids and a time machine. How? Assumedly using the hoverboard components as a basis for the electrical charge, 1.21 gigawatts. Then he travels to 2015 with his train first, gets it hover converted, and modernizes it. Goes back to 1955 for some reason, and then finds Marty at the train tracks. But of course, all that we have to forget the fact that they took a picture of an empty spot in a graveyard for no particular reason, since there was no death time for Doc. Why the hell would Marty go back to 1885? He'd go back to 1985, and then Doc would die by Buford Tannen in the past, and thus Marty will have to happen again. What happens next? Doc Brown flies to wherever.
Hey, Doc! Where you going now? Back to the future?
Nope. Already been there.
This has been the Doc Brown Perspective. We'll see you October 21st, 2015 for the date from the future. I'm Ollie with Tony P, and these are the Cheap Seats. This is the end? I don't know, maybe. Or could it be? Only W.